Hey everybody, welcome to Trader Minute. Great to have you on board. And I've been looking at Qualcomm here, and I've been talking with Jeff about this as well. And looking at it on hourly, it's really oversold. And AK, you brought up a good point. You're feeling that this is on support. And where this thing dropped so fast this morning, you can see that initial drop out of the gate this morning. It blew through the stop pretty easy. And talking with Jeff about it, we're planning on exiting, but we want to try to exit on an oversold bounce rather than just at an extreme bottom towards these levels right here. And the delta has dropped quite a bit too, so even if it went down another 25-30 cents, we're really not risking much there at all at this point with a low delta as we're seeing right now. Okay, so we're watching it closely. Don't think we're not watching it. We've been discussing about it. Haven't been on chat because we were discussing the trade. But we're going to try to exit here on an oversold bounce and not just on a steep drop we've seen. You can see it's dropped down in the levels. It's off the lows again. But that's what we're going to be doing, exiting. Probably make a decision a little bit later in the day. But with the delta, again, with the delta low, even if it dropped a little bit lower and we exit it later in the day, it's not risking that much because the option prices aren't going to move a whole lot. Even if it drops another 25-30 cents or more, it's not going to affect the option values much at this point. So that's what we're doing with Qualcomm. Yeah, Max, why not add a little bit more here? I couldn't argue it doing that. We've discussed that as well. With this trade right here, we're not going to add. We're just looking for a better exit at this point here, and probably exit on a bounce here rather than just add a low right there. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So that's what we're doing with Qualcomm. We'll be probably making a decision on that towards the close. Again, we're just looking for an oversold bounce here, as it's been oversold here for a little while. Looking back, and they'll probably exit at that point. Been talking with Jeff on that, and that's what he feels would be best as well. With Boeing up 66 cents. Now, if we look at the chart here of the S&P, we've got hourly charts here. Let's come over to, oh, not that one. But well, let me just go here to the futures. And it's much better, easier to see here in the futures. You can see where it started rolling over, and I was on video when it first started to happen. I noticed things were rolling into red, and you see this steep drop in the futures. Now it's getting that bit of an oversold bounce here on the futures on the S&P as well, as it's been oversold here in the short term. And that's what we're seeing with Qualcomm. Also, one of the big things that's affecting Qualcomm has been Apple. And AK, I know you had a trade on this. You done pretty well on it, on the trade on Apple this morning with some puts on it. And this is one of the things that's been affecting Qualcomm as well. See Apple down like that. Okay. So two trades. Yeah, the one that we're obviously concerned about again is Qualcomm. Okay. All right, Darren. All right. If you want to look at some stocks, let me know. I'm just gonna to make some rounds. Oh, okay. Oh, you got out yesterday with that gain. All right, I hear you, AK. Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. Yeah, Baidu's rolled over here, and then Kihu rolling over too. Yeah, things are rolling over. The market, I was wondering if it was going to hold a gain today after the sell it had yesterday, first trading day of the year, and still a little bit early to see what's it going to be like in the close. But right now, most things are rolling over. Just looking through some of these stocks now. Netflix, not as much, but U.S. Steel, yeah, they're holding their own from about where we were this morning. Okay, Tesoro. Bank of America, it's pulled back some, but it still looks strong. Citi's another one that was making a pretty nice move this morning. Yeah, it's pulled back a little bit as most stocks, but still is strong looking stock. VSI, yeah, that's a pretty significant move technically. for a stock like this. Low volume stock. If it has options, the spreads would be pretty wide. Now this is a nice looking, what they would call a descending wedge pattern with a clearer break today. Now at this point where it's gone so far so fast, the risk reward wouldn't quite set up like we'd want. It's so far away from the 7, it'd be tough to control there. Uh, but man, that's a major break. There's not a lot of volume on it right now. For that type of a big break like that, but man, technically, yeah, that's a big move. And Jeff was talking about substantial moves versus non-substantial moves yesterday, and this is definitely a big one. Very, very bearish on VSI. Yeah, I mean it's definitely breaking down, but at this point where it's again so far so fast, it's tough. You'd be spending a lot of money on put options right here versus if a little bit slower breakout, maybe just dropping below down towards the 51 level, just underneath the 51 level, it's a little bit risk reward to be a little bit more controlled where you could use the 7 as a stop. The options wouldn't cost you quite as much to buy puts. Well, now the options are going to cost you a lot of money, a long ways away from the 7, so there's a chance of some consolidation or a snapback towards that $51 level. Right. Google. Buy Google here. As far as playing alongside buying calls, not yet. To me, to get long on Google again, let me just zoom in on that so you can see what I'm looking at. It's got to come back above the 7. It's a clear break below the 7 today if it closed here, right? If it closes back up here, it didn't come quite this low yesterday, but if it closes back up here above the 7 again, it's still trying to hang on to the level, and a break above 1220 is where I'd look to get long on it. But right now, it's just some short-term weakness. It could be, one of these little moves that we've seen in the past. I'm not bearish on Google at all, but that's what I'd look for to get long on it. A break up here above 1120 and get back above that 7-day moving average. That's what I'd look for at Trader Doc. All right, Halliburton is selling off a little bit, not showing any type of strength. U.S. still, yeah, just right there again. Just running through some of the stocks that looked at yesterday. Bank of America, still looking all right. Pre-CLN, price line, down about $6.50, down towards that 50-day moving average. All right, still weak. Let's see if that 50 can hold this time around. But yeah, I was on a top 3 last night of mine on a trend rider signal. So this would be one you could stay in as long as it stays inside that band. If it closes, as long as it stays within the band, if it closes back inside the band is where you'd exit and see where that takes you. Okay. And then Dollar General, we'll see where the top 3 are, up slightly. Like most, it's pulled back. First Solar, this was been down. Yeah, now it's coming down. $1.39, down about 2.5%. Still above the 7, still above 56 right there. If it broke through that, I'd exit, take the loss and move on. But if it can hold 56 and bounce higher, then we'll see it coming. Okay, that might stay in it. All right. I just wanted to get on and share with you what we're thinking on Qualcomm. Just looking for, again, an oversold bounce based on the hourly here, and we might be getting it in up to maybe towards the 7-hour moving average rather than getting out at the low of the day. Maybe, but that's what we're looking for on Qualcomm, a little bit oversold bounce. And again, just to reiterate for those maybe just popping on, the delta at this point is pretty low, so we're not risking a whole lot. If it drops another 25 30 cents on us, we're not risking a whole lot more by holding it, just because the options on the delta on the options is fairly low at this point. So that's what we're looking for, a little bit of a bounce here, but we're still eyeing that position and may take that off today. We'll see. Okay, and I'm in touch with Jeff on it as well. So If you have any questions, put them in chat on it, or you can send me directly through an email as well. It's carl@traderminute.com. Okay, thanks everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.